yeah. It's a Saturday morning and we are ready to talk some sports. It's your favorite show, Views from the Stands. I'm your host, Stevie B, Steve Brennan, and we have with me the GM, G Mike. How you doing, my friend?
Yo, what up, what up? Good Saturday morning. You already know how you feeling.
I am feeling fantastic, man. We got a great show for you today, man. We have the playoffs are in full swing. Some teams have gone home. We'll be talking about that. We got an NBA legend, an absolute NBA legend, retiring, calling it quits. We got another tight end that just got paid and now is now highest tight end. We have a fun-filled down bad debate for you, and we're going to recap the NFL draft for you a little bit, pick some winners, losers, and some interesting head scratchers that we had. Before we get into all that sports good stuff that we got to pay some bills. So, G Mike, what you let the good people know we have going on, man?
Yes, sir. Guys, I run a Telegram channel where we offer sports gambling slips. If you're into gambling on sports, either through Hard Rock Live Bet, Flip Price Picks, wherever you want, we charge $10 a month to get you anywhere from winnings from $25 to $50 to $100 a day. You'll see the link pop up on your screen or watching the recorded episode. If not, you'll see my DMs, my Instagram, social, TikTok, wherever the case may be. Just slide in my DM. We'll start a conversation and we'll get you on and going.
Absolutely, man. A little extra money never hurt anybody, man. There's a couple different companies you want to give a shout out to as well, man. Varsity Sports Nation, man. They're your premier sports app. If you want high school sports, they got you, man. If you want college sports, they got you. You want content like you're watching right now, they got you as well. You can find us on demand as well, so that's always a good thing too. But the best part about Varsity Sports, it's a very convenient app, man. You can download it on your iOS, your Android, Roku TV, Apple TV, your Fire TV, as well as your social medias. So give them a like and subscribe, as well as please give us a like and subscribe as well. We also want to give a shout out to millionsports.co, man. That's a great company that's doing a lot of interviews with athletes and getting into a lot more personal with athletes. If you're interested in something like that, that is a great place for you to check out. And they've been supporting us. And as far as we go, we got some major announcement. It's a big deal for us. We are officially on iHeartRadio. So now we are taking this thing worldwide, baby. It's a big move for us. We really appreciate it. We couldn't have got here without you guys supporting us. So we really appreciate all that for that we have going on. So check us out now officially on iHeartRadio. Man, that sounds really good to say. And Mr. G, Mike, how do you feel about that one, dude? That's a big move for us.
Yeah, man. Any platform that we could get our show on and try to broadcast our skills on here, our opinions, and try to get other people into the liking of our show, I'm all for it, baby. Let's go. iHeart.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal for us, man. And like we've been saying before, man, if you guys could please just give us a like and subscribe, hit the bell. It'll let you know whenever we are live and whenever we have going on. But this is a big move for us. And once again, like we've been saying the whole time, man, the show is about all of us and having fun and interacting with all of you guys out there. Now that we got all that out the way, my friend, let's go ahead and jump into some sports, man. And we had a major news coming out of the NBA. Longtime head coach Greg Popovich is calling it a career after 29 seasons in the NBA. Pop was an absolute legend in the NBA. He was always great with the interviews on and off the court. He had this funny way about him. After 29 seasons, he has 1,422 wins, 869 losses. He had a winning percentage in the playoff of, it was over 0.599% career. That's just amazing, man. He almost won almost every game that he was coaching in, over half of them. What a legend. It's going to be hard shoes to fill, but they are going to have the assistant that was been there for since Pop had some health issues. Mitch Jones, I believe his name is, or Mitch Johnson, I believe it is. He's coming in. He's been with the Spurs for about 6 years. G, Mike, man, I see you got it up there too. Thank you, Pop, man. What's your thoughts on Greg Popovich's career and the man, the myth, the legend?
Amazing career, man. This guy ended his career with 2,291 wins and only a little more than 1,400 losses, man. So, dude, the winning percentage there just speaks for itself. I mean, he had superstars come in and out of San Antonio that he got them chips. David Robinson, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Kawhi Leonard. The list goes on and on. A lot of great players that he's coached. He's obviously been a coach in Team USA when they've gone and played.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too. That can't be an unforgotten thing about Greg Popovich, as well as his affiliation with Team USA. And to be able to take all those personalities, and mold them into one goal and play hard is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, just getting all those personalities into one roof and able to coach each of them when you got to adjust your coaching style to each and every one of them and it seems to me like Greg Popovich doesn't really change his style for himself. It's either you like him or you don't. He doesn't really.
Mhm.
He shows that in his interviews as well. When whenever the games were finished or during the game, whatever the case may be, he'll give it to you how he gives it. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. And if you do, you do. He doesn't really care. All he really cared about when he was in the league was winning and winning and winning, and that's what he did most of the time. I mean, dude, 5-time NBA champion head coach, Western Conference champion as well, so 6-time Western Conference champion, and the list goes on and on for Greg Popovich. He did a lot for the league and a lot of players around the league. When they found out that he was retiring, they I wouldn't say sad, but it was just like, wow, like a whole era has just gone 29 seasons just like that. And, he has mutual respect for everybody around the league. And, first ballot Hall of Fame coach, baby. First
He's
ballot.
already, yeah, he got in. He got in 2023, so he's already in. He's already got that under his belt too. Man, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, man, I used to hate Popovich because he was so damn good. Back in like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, man, the Spurs and Mavs was one of the best rivalries in the same division, best rivalries in basketball going for a long time. And Popovich had a lot to do with that, with those Manu Ginobili teams, Tony Parker, all those guys. And he was one of the guys that really started the movement for all the foreign players. And he was able to take a lot of these guys and put them into different systems that worked. And they always played so selfless, and it was always about winning. It was never about who's the guy in the room. You had Tim Duncan, who was obviously one of the best of all time, but you guys were able to they all sacrificed their numbers if they had to just get the win, and that's a hard thing to get. And it's a hard thing, especially now with the NBA the way it is now. It's hard to see that happening as much anymore. And Popovich is one of the old school guys of coach hard, and it's a different era. And so Popovich is a fantastic coach, and it's an amazing career is what he's had. And like I was saying too, man, I just remember watching him against my Mavs, and it used to kill me all the time because they would find a way, man, find a way. So shout out to Popovich, man. And something else I think that's an underrated thing about Popovich as well, something that he's done, was he was one of the first head coaches to bring on a female onto his coaching staff, and then was able to also have the first female, correct me if I'm wrong, but it'd be the first female to coach in an NBA game. So that's a big move too, and bringing in, women into the men's sport as well. So I think he's just an all around great frontier and a great leader, and just he's gonna be missed. Now he is gonna be stepping into the president of the Spurs, so he's not completely done with the Spurs. But I think he had some health issues, and it just was probably better for him to just kind of step aside and call it a day as far as the head coaching grind goes. But he's still gonna be highly involved with the team as the team president. So he's not completely gone, but it still one hell of a career, man. 29 years.
Yeah, no. And another thing I wanted to mention, he's a very trendy coach. He starts a lot of trends, like you mentioned. He's one of the first ones that started bringing dudes overseas to come play in professional basketball in
Yeah.
America. He was the first one to have a female coach on the sideline with him. And I feel like this is it's gonna keep going on him as president. He's gonna start making up other stuff that he's gonna start trends for. People are gonna
Mm-hmm.
stay following him because he's just a basketball genius for real.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guru.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. He's definitely gonna be missed on the sideline, man. I just remember back whenever old Craig Sager used to interview him, man. That used to be so much fun. Unfortunately, Craig Sager obviously passed, and he always had the wild suits, and that used to always just be a highlight whenever he'd go try to interview him, and he would try to just be the most dry interview ever. But it was always just funny because you could tell they had like that kind of relationship together. So that was always fun, man. All right, so we're going to move on from Greg Popovich, man, and we're going to move over to the NFL because we always love talking football, and we have a new highest paid tight end, and that is Mr. George Kittle. George Kittle just signed an extension with the San Francisco 49ers on a 4-year, $76.4 million contract extension, and with $14 million guaranteed. Gee, Mike, man, that's a lot of money for Kittle, buddy. Do you think this is the right move for the 49ers?
100%. They already lost Deebo Samuel to the Washington Commanders on a trade. It looks like Brandon Ayuk is going to be out of there soon. So right now they're just banking on young, talented, fast receivers, and it's not a bad move because you see receivers coming out of the draft. The first year receivers sometimes they start shining and they don't look back. Obviously, there's other receivers that have a little bit of a struggle and they got to work and they got to keep practicing and repetition to get better, but I feel like the Niners see that, and they're a run first team anyways. They love to run the ball no matter what. They probably pass the ball way less than most teams do in the league, really. Not saying that they're not effective at it, but they just love running the ball. And when you
Mhm.
got George Kittle at tight end, he's an amazing blocker, and he could go out and catch a pass, catch over anybody, linebackers, corners, safeties. It doesn't matter who you put on him. He's gonna be a dog no matter what. He's fast. He has sticky glue hands, and he's gonna be right now the number one target when it comes to the passing game for the San Francisco 49ers. So I feel like it is a good move for them to get him on their extension contract, give him the money that he wants, make sure that he's happy, make sure that he's going to keep working hard and try to be, the number one touchdown scorer when it comes to passing for the 49ers this year.
Yeah, Kittle's 41. 41. He's 31 years old. So I think the contract is a good contract for him. It's 4 years, that means if I had to guess that his playing style, this will probably be his last major contract. I don't see him, getting another one after this one. So it's good that he finally got that good money. And that the way it's kind of structured as well is that it's a larger amount of money than Trey McBride just signed, but it's only in like the last year. So it's, NFL numbers. NFL numbers are always kind of funny how they, incentives here, incentives there, to made it go a little bit higher. I believe Trey McBride overall is going to be getting a little bit more, but whenever the final year the contract goes in, it'll be Kittle. Having said that, Kittle is the glue, and it seems like the absolute gel of the San Francisco 49ers. You got Chris McCaffrey and Kyle Shanahan, but it just seems like that Kittle sets the tone every week for whoever is out there. He's one of the most happy-go-lucky, fun guys in the league, and he just seems like absolute great top locker room guy. He's part of the co-founder of the Tight End University. He's been a big movement for the evolution of tight ends. I think George Kittle is absolutely one of the best. So, we just talked about it a couple weeks ago. Trey McBride is now the highest paid. Or excuse me, I think it's George Kittle. They're around about, give or take a couple $1 million. Is George Kittle still A, in his prime, and B, still the best tight end in football?
Yeah, I would say so, for sure. For sure, he's in his prime, 100%. Now, when it comes to the best tight end in football, I feel like that's very subjective. You got Trey McBride, you got Brock Bowers. You still got Travis Kelce. Obviously, he's old, but he's still in the league. He's not. Mm-hmm. He hasn't retired yet, and the list goes on for the tight ends. But I feel like he's up there for sure. I think he's top 3. And going back to like what Trey McBride's going to get for the rest of his career, he'll probably get more money than George Kittle. But George Kittle, he's been to two Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. He knows what it takes to get to a Super Bowl, and that's a full around well-oiled machine on offense and defense. And sometimes, you don't win the big prize and you just get to the finish line and you don't cross it first. Yeah. And he's been there a few times already. He knows what it is. He knows the heartbreak of losing in the big game. And, he probably doesn't want to do that anymore for the rest of his life. If he gets there, he wants to win, and he knows what it takes to win. So, yeah, maybe Trey McBride is going to get more money in the end, but maybe George Kittle did this for a reason so that they can try and get some other players paid and try to get some, more wins.
Yeah, especially too because they have the Brock Purdy contract that still isn't official yet, but it seems like talks are going in the right direction that he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Niners going forward, in which he'll probably get a lucrative contract as well. So it's the right time to get Kittle paid. And yeah, like you're saying too, they're an interesting team. They have a young wide receiving team. Juwan Jennings, I think, is a very underrated player. Juwan Jennings is pretty good, and you got Ricky Pearsall, who was unfortunately had an incident last year coming into his rookie season, got shot, unfortunately, and had to recover. So he really almost kind of only played half the season. Showed some flashes out there, but George Kittle still is the man out there, especially if CMC gets injured again, God forbid, it's going to be George Kittle's show. And like you were saying, he's going to be one of the most important pieces with their core they have going right now. So shout out to George Kittle for finally getting paid again. And so I think it's a good move for them, man.
Yep. George Kittle, you deserve it, baby. Deserve it.
There we go, man. Tight end you. All right, brother. We're gonna move from the news and head over to the NBA playoffs, man. And it has been a interesting NBA playoffs to say the least. All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and go up top here in the West. We got that one wrapped up, man. The Oklahoma City Thunder have swept the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think this one was just predictable from game 1 on that Memphis was going to not be able to hang with OKC. Were you surprised by the results of this, or anything? Did anything shock you with this one?
I was surprised with the first game. I didn't think that Memphis would get mollywopped like that. They weren't the only team, and we're gonna go a little more into that later on. That they got mollywopped like that, but I thought that they would put more of a fight. You know, they're a young, fast, talented team. I thought they would at least only lose by each game, maybe by like 10 or more points. You know, but losing the first game, setting the tone, Oklahoma City Thunder did, of beating them by what it was 30 to 40, whatever the case was,
I think it's like
and
50 something.
yeah, dude, I don't know. It was up there in numbers, but that game was just horrible to watch. Memphis came back in the other games and making it a little bit more tougher, but OKC is just a way better team offensively and defensively, and Memphis just wasn't really supposed to beat them. What a lot of controversy goes with this play-in stuff, and like, yeah, you see what happens with the play-in. Some bad teams get in, and then this is what happens, and it kind of does make sense, but just speaking on the series alone, we knew OKC what they were coming in to do. You know the type of team that they're going to be. They
Yeah.
can be a championship team. So going through round one, just sweeping the Memphis Grizzlies is not that big of a surprise. But I was surprised with the game one losing by like 50 points.
Yeah, either way, they're either going to play Memphis or Dallas, and I think the same result was going to happen either way. That they were going to sweep, and any team was lucky to possibly just get a win. But I think the same result would have been if it would have been Dallas or it would have been Memphis. But on a side note, speaking of Memphis just make some news. They have officially hired a new head coach. It was the coach that took over for them in the interim. So now that Memphis does have a new coach, and he'll be the first Finnish coach to be in the NBA. So I believe he's from Sweden, if that's right. But interesting move over there for Memphis. He took over in the interim, and he's been a hell of a coach in the Euro Leagues, and he was actually a Euro League player as well. So interesting news coming out of Memphis that they fired Chris Jenkins, and then they've hired their intern coach. So interesting news coming out of Memphis. Anyways, man. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps up that one on Memphis and Oklahoma City, unless you have anything else on this one. This one was just a beatdown.
Yeah, no, for sure. Big time.
All right, so we'll unfortunately move over to the East again, my man, and this one's got a lot to do with you, buddy. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers have moved on against your Miami Heat, man, and that last game was just, ouch. That looked bad out there, man. G-Mike, you're a Miami Heat guy, man. What's your thoughts on this one, man?
It wasn't just the last game. It was the last two games. I
Yeah.
mean, the game three, we lost by like 25, 30 points, whatever the case was. And then Tyler Hero comes on. He says, yeah, we won't lose like that again. We're not going to get swept and this and that. And then game four was even worse. Started the game. We went into halftime. It was like 72 to like 34. Like,
yeah.
How do you expect to be a playoff team when you're playing like that and you can't score consistently? We trade away Jimmy Butler to get Andrew Wiggins and other pieces in return. That one of the pieces, Davon Mitchell, did plan out to be what we wanted him to be, and even more. He, from the Toronto Raptors to the Miami Heat, he shot the ball way better. He was passing the ball way better. He was playing defense way better. So he was doing work, right? But Andrew Wiggins, he was on and off. He was on and off the court because he wasn't even healthy. And then he comes in this series, only one game that he scored more than 15 points. The rest of them were like 12 and under. It's like, how you be considered in a big three, and you can't even score 20 points in a playoff game. Like that makes no sense. And then with our stars, Hero and Bam, very inconsistent. Hero that last game only had like 8 points. Like, dude, we can't win a playoff series like this. And just like the Memphis Grizzlies, the Miami Heat, we're not destined to be in the playoffs either, bro. You see what happens with the Cavs. The Cavs, the first two games, we thought we were giving them a fight, so it was going to be neck and neck. And then game three and game four, the Cavs were just like, nah, man, we just gotta keep the foot on their necks, and that's it, and stop letting it get off. And that's exactly what they did. And they mollywopped us, they swept us, and now it's on to the next series for the Cavs.
Mr. Poole, thanks for checking in, my man. So I was gonna bring this up as well, man. So
freaking hope.
Miami will win next year when we get Giannis. That's the big talk, man. Do you think there's any kind of actual reality to this that Giannis is coming to Miami? I think the writing's on the wall that he could definitely be traded. Miami seems like a great destination for him. You're a Miami guy, man. Do you think this has possibility of happening?
It definitely has a possibility to happen. Even if it's just 1%, it's still a possibility to happen, right? And the last few years, Giannis has been linked to Miami several times when it comes to just in-season trade, in the offseason, trying to get him. So definitely there is a possibility. Now, as a Miami Heat fan, James, you could allude to this. The last 5 years, there has been hope, and then it gets shot down quick as hell right when the season's about to start.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna have any hope, man. It is what it is. I saw what Bam said in the post game interview. There's gonna be a lot of changes to be made, and he was putting pressure on Pat Riley because a lot of us know out here, if you're watching basketball and you love NBA basketball, you know that Pat Riley, it looks like he's already coming down, 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 and he has to retire just like Greg Popovich, because the way that things has been going lately in the offseason and with trades and with signings has just been horrible for the Heat. So I think there is a possibility of getting Giannis, but there's very strong possibility that he could go to Houston, San Antonio, Golden State. Like, those are big time possibilities too.
Yeah, no, I think it's a perfect fit for him down there. It just depends on what they have to give up for him. That's going to be the big thing, because he's under contract, obviously. So it's going to have to be some sort of trade. But it would be an interesting fit for him, I think, for sure. I'd like the move. I'd like to see what Miami could do for him. Miami seems like a great organization that can pull these kind of deals off. So it'd be interesting to see what this summer is going to bring for the Bucks in general. We'll be getting to the Bucks here in a little bit, but they're going to be a lot different looking team, and it's just going to be interesting to see. Yeah. All right, my man. Do you got anything else you want to close out with the Heat onto that one, or just on to next year?
No, I was just gonna ask you, or James, you could chime in here, because I had an argument with a few Heat fans on Twitter, and they had put up the proposition of: do you trade Giannis for Bam and keep him with Hero, or do you trade Hero to keep Giannis with Bam? Which one would you?
I would probably get rid of Hero out of the two of them. I like Bam, and I think he's more of a foundational piece. His offense could get a little bit better, but I like the defensive presence that he has. You can't really teach defense like he can, and he's a dominant force. So I out of the two, I would like to keep Bam and get rid of Hero. Hero is very streaky. If he's on, then he's on. Otherwise, I don't think he brings as much to the table as a Bam does.
I think I would agree with you, and I'll go with that trade as well, because I think it's way easier to get a scoring guard that doesn't play defense than it is to get a big man that plays defense 1-5, and he could have sprouts of scoring 20 plus points. And we saw it over the years, bro. We almost got Donovan Mitchell. We almost got Bradley Beal. We almost got Kyrie Irving. We almost got Trae Young. Like the guards are there. You get what I'm saying? Like, but for big men to be able to do what Bam does, you don't see it a lot around the league. There's only like probably 4 or 5 other big men that can do what he does, and I'd rather keep that piece with Giannis, that he could get a 30 and 12. And try to bring in maybe a rookie guard or a guard around the league that's just like not all-star tier level, but he can give you 15 to 20 points a game.
Yeah, no, and so James was thanks for checking in as well. Like we were saying a couple minutes ago, man. James actually would take Hero over Bam. That's interesting. I like Bam's game a little bit better than like Hero's game, but no, I think either one is a good player. I think you're going to have to get rid of one of the two of them to be able to get either one of those guys in there. And there's always been the link of Dame Lillard, but after that Achilles injury, that's going to be an interesting move for what's going to happen with Dame too, man. So Miami's been kind of linked to him as well.
Last thing before we move.
Yeah, fine.
If we trade away Hero now, I'm gonna be so pissed off because we could have done that when Jimmy was here, bro. Mm-hmm. We could have traded away Hero to get a nice guard when Jimmy was here to give him Bam. And now we're going to do it because maybe we trade away Hero to get Giannis. And it's like, damn, bro, we could have literally had a big 3. But now it's going to be a big 2 and some small pieces.
Yeah, so I mean, now that the trade is, the Miami Heat season is done, what's your thoughts on how that whole thing played out with Jimmy? I mean, do you think they got enough back? Do you think, like, how do you feel about that now that the season is officially done? It's
No, we did not get enough back. We did not get enough back. You saw Andrew Wiggins. He's a good player, bro. I'm not saying that he's horrible, but like he didn't do what we needed him to do. And it's like essentially that trade was surrounded by Butler and Wiggins. And if we're giving up a player like that, obviously he wanted to get out, so we had to give up. We had to give him up. But we're getting in return Wiggins, and you got to produce what we think you're gonna produce, and what you think you can produce as well. And it's unfortunate that it didn't happen like that. I'm pretty sure that he's beating himself up about it. But hey, this is a business, man, and if we got to make moves and send you somewhere else to get someone back, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. That was such an interesting transition, and yeah, it's interesting, man. But interesting. So you'd rather have the let Hero go for a LaMelo, huh? Interesting. That's an interesting one there. That's not too bad.
I would too. He's a better playmaker. He can score just as good as Hero, if not better. He's younger. The only thing I don't like about LaMelo is that he's injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bad thing. Hero's not that injury prone. Yeah, he's been injured, but he's not injury prone.
Yeah, no, I'm in for that. That seems like an actual. That one seems like an actual trade that could actually happen as well, though. I think though, that one kind of makes sense. Hero for LaMelo, I could go for that. But all right, my man. So we got another game. We're gonna go head back out to the West, and we have what's one of the best awards in sports. We got a Game 7 upon us, man. It's gonna be Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers. And this series has just been back and forth and back and forth. Man, all right, dude. So we're like we were saying before, we're at Game 7. What's your predictions and how do you feel about this one, man?
Man, I feel great about it. Obviously, it's been an intense series. I think it's been the best intense close series in the first round of the NBA playoffs. I think close second was the Detroit Pistons and New York Knicks, which we'll talk about in a bit. But this one right here, man, has been close neck to neck. Obviously, you're going to Game 7. Now the Denver Nuggets are going to host this game, so they're going to have the advantage there, right? But I got to pick the Clippers in this, man, just because of what we talked about, the role players. I feel like the role players are going to step up more than the Denver Nuggets, even though these last two games, the role players for the Nuggets have been stepping up. So maybe they can carry that momentum into Game 7. And obviously at home, it's better for role players. They're more comfortable at home than they are on the road. But I don't know. I just have like this great feeling that Leonard, Zubac, Harden, and Powell, they're just going to take over like they did in last game, and they're going to triumph here, and they're going to take it and move on to the next round to play OKC.
Yeah, no, I'm with you too, man. I'm sticking with the pick of the Clippers in this one. They look impressive to me as well. But this series has just been awesome, really, honestly. Looking at all the scores of the game, Game 1, 112 to 110 in favor of the Nuggets. Game 2, 105, 102 in favor of the Clippers. Game 3, Clippers won again, 117 to 83. Nuggets come back 101 to 99. Nuggets win again, 131 to 115. And then the Clippers win 111 to 105 in Game 6. And we have Game 7 tonight. That's going to be a hell of a series, man. But this game's just been back and forth. It's been an awesome basketball series, and especially it's almost a shame this is the first round, because one of these teams got to go home, and that's what the beauty of series is. And but no, I'm sticking with the Clippers just for the same reason that we've been saying as well, is that I feel like their bench is just better than Denver's bench is. But Jokic, man, you never can count that dude out. He's a one hell of a player, and he's leading them in every statistical category, which is amazing for a center, especially in this day and age where the big man is kind of forgotten about in a way, so it's amazing that this guy is still doing his thing, man. So it's pretty cool to see that the series is going for it. So we're both taking the Clippers in Game 7, correct?
Yes, sir. Clips.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome series, man. All right, so we're moving out to the East again, man. We have the Indiana Pacers, and Indiana, baby, yeah, they have moved on to the next round. They won the series against the Bucks 4-1. And, man, I really like this matchup with Cleveland and Indiana. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of offense in this game. We were talking about it a little bit ago. The Bucks, after Dame went down, I think that the writing was on the wall that the series was done. I don't think they had much of a chance, even though Giannis is an amazing player, amazing talent. There's only so much they can do, and they weren't really constructed with a lot of firepower to be able to compete with Indiana to begin with, and then especially after Dame goes down. So I hope Dame was able to make a great recovery. But what an interesting season it's been, man. He had the blood clot issue that kept him out a little bit. Then he tears his Achilles. It's a major thing, and there's been a lot of rumors as well as that what does Milwaukee do? Do they blow this whole thing up because you got, Giannis and you got Dame, and you can get a lot for both of those players? Or do you keep it intact because you do have two foundational players? Now, it's going to take a little bit of time, obviously, for Dame to come back after the injury with the Achilles. It's usually like a 6 month to a year situation, so he should be back next year at some point in time, I believe. Mike, man, what would you end up doing in this situation, man? Do you keep the core intact and just try to bring some other pieces in, or do you kind of blow it up and start back over?
I think it all depends on the conversation you have with your superstar player in Giannis, right? Because you need to sit down with him, which they're going to do. I think it's like this week. They're going to sit down with him and see what direction they want to go in, right? And I feel like whatever Giannis says, I feel like you got to go with, right? If he's talking about that he's trying to win now, then you got to try to surround pieces around him. That's going to be tough, right? Like that. I wouldn't, even if you're trying to get some pieces around them, I wouldn't think that they will go back to the finals for the next 2-3 years. Does Giannis want to wait that long? You got to be real with him. You got to let him know, yo, maybe the next 2-3 years we're not even getting close. Maybe in year 3, 4, maybe we get close. Maybe year 5, maybe we're there. Does he want to wait that long? If he doesn't want to wait that long, you blow it up. You get some pieces in return for him. You get some pieces in return for Dame as well, or if not, picks, just like the Oklahoma City Thunder did. They got so many picks in return, and look at their team now. In my opinion, about to go to the NBA Finals and maybe win it, maybe, but they're gonna probably get there. And they did it with just getting SGA and a bunch of picks. Maybe Milwaukee can do the same thing, but you gotta let Giannis know the next 2-3 years we're not gonna make it close. Maybe 3 to 4 years, maybe we'll almost get there. Maybe 5, 6, maybe we're there. Maybe, because Boston Celtics, Cleveland Cavaliers, Indiana Pacers just beat you. New York Knicks, they're coming up. The East is not a walk in the park no more. It's not LeBron James taking over and going to the NBA Finals every single year. Like it's very up for grabs, just like the West. So I feel like you just got to have that conversation with Giannis and see what's up.
Yeah, and so just looking at it too, Giannis is 30 years old. So I think that you're on the right track, that you don't have that. You have time, especially with the way people take care of their bodies and stuff now. But do you want to wait around that long? You get it going into your 30s, you're at the prime, and then all of a sudden the wall hits and you start to kind of decline a little bit. I think Giannis takes care of himself well enough that he's going to be able to maintain and have a long career. But as far as the question I was asking, I hate to do this whenever you just lose a series. Everybody's first reaction, things got to change. I really do think in this case, things do have to change. And I'm talking even getting rid of Doc Rivers. The whole thing for Milwaukee just needs to change. They never looked that right ever since the beginning of the season. Whenever they got rid of the head coach and then they bring in Doc, and the whole thing was just a tumultuous season that I don't know, it just never felt right. Especially after the Dame trade or whenever they got Dame. Everybody's like, man, this team is going to be so good and all this. It just never seemed like it was on the right path. They started out pretty good in the beginning of the season, but it just never seemed like it was in the right path. I think from a Milwaukee standpoint, I think that they should probably, unfortunately, blow this thing up. Get what you can for Giannis, because you could probably get a king's ransom. Unlike the Luka deal, that's another story. But I think you can get a lot for Giannis right now and send him to a team. He's done well for your city. He's done well for your team and done well for the organization. He's not demanding a trade. He's not even mentioning a trade. But I think, like you were saying, behind closed doors, we don't really know what's going on. But publicly, Giannis has been a stand-up, great NBA professional player, and he hasn't mentioned anything about a trade. But I think that they have to see the writing on the wall that they're not going to get any better anytime soon, especially with Dame being out. So I think at this point in time, you get what you can for Dame, because he is going to be damaged goods. And unfortunately, you love what Dame brings to the game, but he's getting a little bit up there in age as well, coming off an Achilles injury. You don't know what's going on with this blood clot thing. I think you kind of have to see what you can get for him, unless you keep Dame there, because you know that you need him to get healthy for you to get more of a value for him. But Giannis and him, I think that it's just see what you can do. Even making a combo package, send them together, whatever you got to do. But I think it's time for Milwaukee to hit the reset button, start back over. And I think it goes all the way to the top, getting a new head coach and just completely rebuilding this organization from the ground up.
Yeah, another thing I want to point out, right? Like, I feel like it's just common sense, but sometimes I feel like it needs to be said, because a lot of people think that when it comes to teams in the NBA or even NFL, even MLB, when it comes to team sports, people think that it's just 1, 2, or 3 athletes on the team that will make the team and actually take them to the promised land. That is not true. That is not true. In the NBA, defense, your bench, your role players and your star players all have to click together. And this is why the teams that get to the NBA Finals, they have this. Last year, the Boston Celtics, they're like 9 deep. 6 of them can put up 20 points. Easily. 7 of them can play great defense.
Yeah.
3 of them can be all-stars, and 2 of them are probably superstars on that team, which is why they went to the NBA Finals. They won, and they're probably going to go back and actually go back-to-back, really. But if you look at all the teams that have won the NBA Finals, it's because they have superstars on the team, they have amazing defense as a team overall, they have great bench scoring and scoring from their role players. It all clicks together. For you guys that watch sports and think that it's just a 1-man, 2-man, 3-man show, that is not true, bro. That is not true. Watch the games and see exactly how it happens. And if you don't even like to watch the games, if you're just a sports person that likes the numbers and analytics and the statistics, look at the numbers. Look at the box scores. You can see what team wins each quarter is because of certain players doing certain things.
Yeah, no, I think football, without a doubt, football is the ultimate team sport, so they always say. Football, you need everybody on in unison. Basketball, on the other hand, I think like that one player can make a humongous difference, without a doubt. But you're completely right. It has to all go together. Ergo, I'll go back to my Dallas Mavericks last year. Before they made that trade, that went on that crazy run to make it to the NBA Finals. No one really had them going. They get some defensive players in there that worked around Luka, and they made a hell of a run. Come playoff time, they made it to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately for them, when they got to the NBA Finals, they had to play the Boston Celtics, who, to allude to your point, is a complete team. Dallas had Luka, who was extremely immature and possibly a little bit out of shape in that one. Whenever they clicked in, I think it was game 3, maybe game 4, whenever Dallas finally clicked and dominated that game, looked great. I thought the series was going to make a transition, but it never did. The true colors actually shown, and Dallas just was not ready to go up against them. So to go to your point, it is completely true. Your bench, everybody has to be on the same page. In NBA, you can have one superstar, and which is great, dominate, but they can only do so much. Take what's going on in the playoffs. Now, you got a Steph Curry. Steph Curry is arguably the greatest shooter of all time. I don't think there's anybody that denies that anymore. He is the greatest shooter of all time. But you saw what happened mid-season. Whenever they were struggling. They had to make it to the play-in tournament. When they made the Jimmy trade, things changed around a little bit because they got a cohesiveness. They got actually a team chemistry going. So, I think you're on the right track completely, though, man. Especially basketball. Basketball is a little bit different because certain players can take over games and change things without a doubt. But you still need your bench to be to contribute. You need your role players to do just the little things. They don't have to take over a game, just the little things. And that's what makes things a hell of a lot different.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because of this series in particular, Indiana versus Milwaukee. Like, Indiana had great defense all around from all their players. A few of the bench players were putting up 10 or more points. The role players were putting up 10 or more points. Halliburton was doing what he does, playmaking and making up shots. They're just hustling. They're young. They play together. They score together. While Milwaukee only has like 2 players that can put up points. The game that they won is because of Gary Trent Jr. going for 37.
Which is never going to happen again, really.
Yeah, no. The last game he had like 33 or something like that. But they lost because at the end, Indiana came together more. You just saw it out there on the court. They're hustling more. They're playing together. They're executing the plays that the coaches were being called. Doc Rivers, I'm sorry, he's been a great coach, but he's already on the downturn, and he's been on the downtrend for a few years now. So it's like.
It was weird that they brought in Doc Rivers of all people too. He was on the team as an analyst and just supposed to be a behind the scenes guy.
It was supposed to be for defense, bro.
Yeah, and then their defense got worse, it makes no sense, So that was an enigma, honestly. The whole Doc Rivers aspect of it too. And the weird thing about when they brought in Rivers, the coach that they originally had wasn't doing bad. They were doing perfectly fine. It made no sense to get rid of him and then bring in Rivers as like a savior. And Rivers has had this same problem for years. He had the one team that he ended up. He got one championship, right? Or he's only been to one championship, I believe.
Yeah, he's got one chip with the Boston Celtics.
With the Celtics, right? And then you had Hall of Famers all over the place on that team, so it makes sense. But he's had this same problem each time. He's lucky if he makes it out of the second round, let alone the first. It's been the same problem for that guy for years. And I don't know why everybody thinks that you just rehire him, it's going to change everything. It just doesn't.
I mean, it should change stuff defensively, right? But if you got players that don't play defense, how is Doc supposed to do his job? Like, for this Dame trade, right? You gave away 2 important pieces for that defense. on why they won that championship against the Phoenix Suns. Like, you gave away two important defensive pieces for Damian Lillard, who's a great offensive scorer. No
Mhm.
one's going to take that away. But the guy can't cover anybody.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect to win? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But I don't know.
Yeah, and it's this kind
Sometimes
of
I feel like these general managers, they really don't know basketball, man. I feel like they don't. Like,
yeah. I mean, some GMs just don't even know how important your franchise player is to the league. Ergo, Nico Harrison saying that about Luka. Sometimes they just don't know, I guess. But that's beyond the point here. I had to get another little Luka thing in there for me real quick. But anyways, but no, I agree though too. I think that it just goes like we were saying too, that this series was all about there was no one else really that was going to help out Milwaukee besides Giannis, and especially after Dame went down, it was done.
And the next series is the same thing. The next series is the same thing. The next series you're going to bring up is the same thing.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into it. Move back out west, man. We have the Los Angeles Lakers falling to the Minnesota Timberwolves, man. And I have to admit, I was shocked by this one. I really thought LA was going to be the better team and be able to pull this out. I just didn't see LeBron and Luka, that duo together, going out in the first round. G Mike, buddy, what's your thoughts on this one, dude? This one was kind of shocking to me. I think that especially losing 4-1. If it go, I would have thought at least maybe a 7-game series. Whatever can happen. But I honestly was very shocked in this result.
I mean, dude, the games were close. It's not like the Lakers were getting blown out. Yeah, they lost 4-1. But if you're really watching the games, the Lakers were not getting blown out, right? But the problem is, they have no bench scoring. Last game, game 5, they only had 4 points off the bench. 4.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
They have no big men that can play the interior, which is why Rudy Gobert went off that last game. He had 24 points or 27 points with 24 rebounds. Insane. And it's just like, one, you got to put a little bit of blame on JJ Redick for not putting in the big men when you know that they've been killing the Lakers the whole series inside the paint. Like, so, yeah, Jackson Hayes is not that player that you think that he was going to be. Yeah, Alex Len, he's not that player that you went and signed off the free agency list. But sometimes you just got to put him in the game and put a body there, bro, to mess up the other team's offensive flow. And he didn't do that. Luka and LeBron, they did their jobs, right? But the first 3 quarters, they're going off. They're hustling. They're doing what they need to do, even though Luka should be playing better defense. But that's just a whole nother conversation. But they're doing what they need to do, right? But then when it comes to the fourth quarter, you got a guy who's 25, 26 years old, who doesn't really train his body well, doesn't have a lot of endurance, doesn't have a lot of stamina, and you expect him to do crazy work in the fourth quarter. Yes, on offense he will, but on defense, he's not going to be hustling around the ball. He's not going to be stopping players. He's not going to be blocking players. He's not going to be stealing the ball. He's not going to be doing nothing, right?
No.
And then you expect a 40-year-old man who's been playing in his prime since he's been drafted. He went to 10 NBA finals in a row, taking so much toll on his body, just won a gold medal this offseason. The next month, went into NBA training, super tired, going through this whole series, first quarter to fourth quarter, giving it all he got, and then you expect him to take it up another notch in the fourth quarter when he's already exhausted because he can't get help from the role players off the bench.
Right.
Like, dude, like I don't know how people expect like Luka and LeBron, or like I mentioned before, I don't know how people expect 1 to 2 to 3 players to beat a whole unit of players and move on to the next series. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, bro. That's what happens in NBA playoff basketball. You need team togetherness on offense and defense. If you don't have that, you're not going to win nothing.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting, too, if you take JJ Redick in the post-game, I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if it was a slight shot or what, but he was like, we need to get in game shape. So I don't know if that's taking a shot at Luka or what already.
Hey, it's the truth, bro. It's the truth, brother. You see it out there on the court. I'm sorry. We're not the analyst on Fox Sports and CBS and all that stuff that you guys watch, but we know what the hell we're watching and what we're talking about, bro. Luka needs to get in shape, and he needs to play better defense. it is what it is.
I will. I'll give him a little bit of credit. He did admit this was his worst season of his entire basketball career. He did admit the fact that he's got to change things and he's got to work to get better. So as far as the Lakers go, though, I think the glaring thing is I think they need to get a big man. That's the biggest thing. I don't think that they need to really blow too much up, or I don't think that the team, the way it's constructed, even though LeBron is a little bit older, you would never know it by watching the games that he's playing for as long as he is in his 40s now. He still looks amazing, and he did get just came out as well that he I believe has a sprained MCL. That injury did happen, so that might have hindered him a little bit. But the fact that he's still playing the way he is just absolutely amazing and it's just insane. Having said that, though, I don't think that it takes a lot for it. I don't think they're going to have to do a lot to get better. I think they just need to get a legit big man in the offseason, and they should be all right.
It's funny that you brought up the MCL, right? Because, bro, people on X and Twitter, man, like they're so funny to me, man. They're so funny. People think that they're so entitled to their opinion, and they really think that they're shifting the world when they say stuff, right? And it's funny to me when they came out with the sprain, right? He had a sprain, and Austin Reeves had a messed up shoulder, I think it was, or whatever. But he played through it, right? It's funny to me that on Twitter people will be like, "Oh yeah, after the series is done, they're gonna come out with the injury reports, and they're gonna say they're injured and this and that." Bro, why would you come out during the series and say that you have a messed up knee? You come out during the series and you say that, they're going to attack you.
Yeah.
You guys not think, like,
yeah, bad. I mean, and forget the fact of, like, everybody's playing with injuries at this point in time, you know? I mean, like, it's not – exactly. They've been playing for how many damn games, and, like, it's not – it's – dude, man. Like everybody's an armchair quarterback, and everybody can do it until you're actually having to do it, and it's not as easy as it looks out there. With obviously,
bro, so. people think that professionalism sports is just a walk in the park.
Yeah, man,
it's like if you guys look at the numbers, right? There's only like 2% or not even 1% of the nation that actually makes it in professional sports.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing,
Jesus
man.
Christ, man.
All right, so I think that one, just like the Lakers, they're out, man. We're out on the West on this one, man. We're going to move over to the East, man. And this was a hell of a series. The New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons, man. And shout out to Detroit for giving it a hell of an effort. I picked Detroit to win this series. I personally feel like they outplayed New York this entire series. They just aren't ready to win yet. They're a very young team. They showed their – I hate to use the word immaturity because it's almost like you're taking a shot at them, but they just weren't ready to play playoff basketball. They blew a few leads. They outplayed New York almost in every game in the series. New York just found a way to win. And my guy, Jalen Brunson, man, that guy is so clutch, just a dog, man. I love Jalen Brunson. G, Mike, what's your thoughts on the series, buddy, now that Detroit is done and New York is moving on?
I love this series, man. This was one of my favorite series to watch behind the Clippers and Nuggets. Wish it would have gone to Game 7. That would have been dope on both sides. You know, having 3 Game 7s in the first round, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
But, the Pistons just showed their inexperience. Like, it is what it is. Like,
they're on the right track, though.
They're on the right track, 100%. Their future is bright.
Track.
Their future is bright. I don't think that they have to blow it up at all. They didn't have 2 of their best players on the court this whole series, Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart. They both have an impact on offense and defense, and that could have been in the series, but just talking on the regular season alone. But their inexperience showed, man. The first 2 games, like they could have won. Well, they won the second game, but the first game they could have won. They could have
they blew like 11 or 9 or 11 lead, right?
Yeah, they could have gone back home 2-0. So like you showed it right there. Game 3, they lost by a point. They could have won that game as well. It could have been up 3-0 while they were going into Game 4. Game 4 already, I think the Knicks took that game handsomely. And then Game 5, dude, this whole series just overall, bro, it was just neck and neck the whole time. But you can tell that the Detroit Pistons together as a unit didn't know how to close out games and win.
Exactly.
Which is why you saw a couple clips of Dennis Schroeder getting the team huddles together and actually screaming at guys, not because of a negative way, but like to get them to understand and to get them to execute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to let games go when you got teams that are more experienced than you in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I agree. Since we're talking about the series, I hate that you have to even bring it up, but it came down to reffing on the 3-point shot that Tim Hardaway Jr. got fouled. What do you think the NBA can do, or do you think that because the refs came out later on and said, yes, we messed that up and there should have been a foul? Not saying that he would have made every foul shot, but Tim Hardaway Jr. was on fire in that game and is a pretty good shooter. Most likely, they would have been able to win that game. When it's overtime, they would have won. I can't remember the exact score, but I think that if they would have made the 3, they would have won by 1. If not, sent them to overtime. Right. So if it, just worst case scenario, it's very unlikely that he misses all 3. So I think it at least would have went to overtime. And the way Detroit was playing, I think that they probably could have won that game. What do you think the NBA can do to change these things? Should there have been a replay? Should there what do we need to do to fix this? Because I think that one, even as a in the moment bang bang play, as like to say, I think that one was pretty clear. I mean, you call that one all the time. What do you think they need to do for this?
I'm gonna go into a little conspiracy theory here, right? But to answer your question, I think they just got to review plays like that when it comes down to the last second shot. I think you should review it no matter what. Even if you make the shot and there's no call, whatever, I think you should still review it. Make sure that everything, because if it comes down to a shot like that either team can win with a make or miss, like I feel like you should still review, right?
It's like the NFL finally is just now getting into using the technology of like without the chain gang thing and stuff. If you have all this technology to make things better, more efficient, and easier, why the hell aren't you using it right? Like, you know that was a controversial way to end the game. Review it right away. It wouldn't take very long to review, and then you put the time back on the clock and let the game play how it should have actually played out, instead of saying, hey, yeah, we messed that up. Sorry about your luck. You're still going to lose the game.
Yeah, so this is why I think my conspiracy theory comes into play, right? So New York is the biggest market in the NBA, one of the biggest markets in professional sports, right? You have a chance, which is already going to happen, right? But at that moment, you have a chance to steer history into New York versus Boston Celtics in the NBA playoffs again. 2 big-time markets where a lot of people are going to have their eyes on those games, right? It's just like, to me, with boxing, right? You got a big-time boxer going up against a big-time upcoming boxer, right? If the boxing match goes neck to neck, they're going to give the win to the more experienced guy. The guy has that bigger name because
you have to beat the champ.
You got to beat him. If you're not in there to knock him out, you're not going to win. If it comes down to decision, you're going to lose. Or if it comes down, obviously, to you have more hits, more points at the end, obviously, just by the naked eye, that it just looks like you dominated, they're going to give it to you. But other than that, if it's neck and neck, they're going to give it to the top guy. Yeah. And I feel like they did this with that call. It was a controversial call for sure. To me, it looked like a foul. But some people will say, no, it wasn't a foul. It was him trying to create the foul, whatever. Jalen Brunson does that all the time. Yeah. Let's not shy away from that. So I feel like the refs took it because of the NBA organization letting them know, like, yo, we want New York to win this. So they're like, yo, with that last second shot, it's up for grabs. So you know what? We're going to let it play out. If he misses the shot, we're not going to call the foul. Boom, boom, boom. Literally next day, not even a whole day, like 8 hours or 10 hours pass. Oh, yeah, we should have called that.
Right. And that's the thing that sucks and is frustrating as well, is like that's great that you admitted it. Fine. Awesome. Slow clap for you. Great job. But what's that do for Detroit? That doesn't for us that, we definitely got screwed, So, I just wish that he would have been able to review it. Something, you know how the NFL in the last 2 minutes of it goes in the last 2 minutes of the game, NFL automatically replay booth always happens. NBA needs to maybe adopt that as well, especially if you have those kind of calls. And the thing is, it's kind of frustrating is that in that play, it's the what I like to call like the Harden move. Harden, I feel like, was like the inventor of the leap into somebody, take the shot, you're going to get the foul call. If you're going to allow that as an actual foul or an actual play, then you need to call it consistently. That is how the NBA has been reffed, that these guys will leap into somebody to get the foul. Either going to make the shot or you're going to get the foul. That's that play. I don't know how you don't call that one if you're going to call that all the other time. Even if you know that that's what he's doing, you guys have allowed this to happen. So you guys need to maybe go back to the drawing board and rewrite what you're going to call a foul.
And either way, like at a moment like that, like you should be ready, like you just said, you should be ready to call a foul just in case, because it's coming down to a moment like that.
Yeah, or just call the foul and then review it. Hey, there is no foul. But you can always review it. Because if it's a foul, the play's going to stop. He was in the motion of shooting. You're going to have to sit on the line. You can either do that or, hey, never mind, there is no foul, game over, New York wins. But you can easily do that with all the technology that we have. It's 2025, and we're still relying on the naked eye whenever you could have, AI technology that could get this done in lightning fast, So unfortunately for the Pistons, it came down to that game. And then they had one more chance, and they couldn't prevail in that one. New York moves on, which is going to be a fun series, New York and Boston. I don't foresee Boston having any challenges with New York in this one. I think Boston is either just going to flat out sweep or New York might be able to get one game. New York has lost every game this season against Boston. They played 4 times, and most of them have been blowouts in that one as well. So, all right, so move out to the West. We have a tied-up Game 7 coming up. We got the Houston Rockets after the win last night over the Golden State Warriors. It is tied 3-3. And if I had to give a quick shout-out real quick to everybody, last week whenever we were talking all that, people came at us crazy about how this didn't age well and we're nuts, dubs and 5, all this good stuff. And as you can see, come on, man. It's let's go here. Now we're back to reality.
Let it play out.
Let it play out. So I just thought that was amazing how many people jumped on
for you guys that don't know, I'm gonna just explain what he's talking about right now. So before Game 3, Jimmy went down during Game 2 of this first round against the Houston Rockets. Went down with a back contusion, so he didn't play Game 3. So we were talking about, if Jimmy doesn't play, they're gonna lose. We were wrong in that regard of if Jimmy doesn't play, they're going to lose because the role players are not going to step up, right? The role players did step up that game, and the Warriors won, right? Yeah. But if you're looking at the rest of the series, the role players are not stepping up. And what is happening? The Golden State Warriors are blowing it. So to you guys that were in the comments and saying all this stuff, thank you for writing in the comments. Thank you for writing.
Appreciate that. It just cracks me up how everybody's just such a creature of the moment that Golden State is blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, come on, it's a series for a reason.
Then talk the smack. Let it play out.
Now, having said that, though, I still do think Golden State will be able to win. Steph Curry is another animal when it comes to Game 7. I think he has the 3rd most points in NBA history of anybody. He averages, I want to say, 37 points in Game 7s. I do think that Golden State will be able to pull it out, but Steph got a little hurt in that last game as well. Off a play Steve Kerr was calling dirty that he wants the change in there. I believe it was his wrist that got hurt. Am I right on that one? Curry's wrist got hurt, I believe, right?
So. I think so.
Yeah, but it's a legal play. But Steve Kerr was talking about he wants that play removed because Dylan Brooks, I guess, have admitted that that's what I was doing. And it's illegal. It's not illegal, so why not? Anyways, what's your thoughts? Who wins Game 7, man?
Man, I want to say the Golden State Warriors, bro. I want to see Jimmy move on and go, try to compete for a championship, even though right now, the way that they're playing, I don't even think they get past Minnesota Timberwolves, to be honest. But I think the Houston Rockets are going to take it, man. This man, Jalen Green, hasn't been playing well all series. They get a Game 7 back at the crib, while in game, 3? Whatever. I think it was Game 3. He went crazy. He had 8 3-pointers made. He was doing a lot of work. And now the Houston Rockets have shown their secret weapon in Steven Adams. He went 4 for 4. He had 9 for 16 free throw attempts. Wow. 17 points, 5 rebounds off the bench with 31 minutes. So I think they showed their wild card there, and they're going to play him next game for sure, especially at the crib. The Houston Rockets fans are going to love that, but Houston Rockets are getting in their groove. Men Thompson is playing Steph Curry very, very well, even though Steph Curry still goes off no matter who plays against him. But he's playing Steph Curry well. And when you look at the Golden State Warriors, man, only two players that actually doing work is Jimmy and Curry, bro. They need someone else to step up and give them more points. Brandon Pod, 10 points is not going to cut it. Moses Moody, 13 points is not going to cut it. Draymond Green, 8 points. We know you're not an offensive scorer. That's not going to cut it, bruh. Buddy Hield, 17 minutes, 0 for 4 in threes, 0 points. He stepped up game 3, and Golden State fans are talking about, wow, we got Buddy. We got Buddy. He back. No, he's not. He's not back. 0 points. Like,
yeah,
that's not going to do it, bro. And I think the Houston Rockets have already learned that. They know what they need to do. And, when it comes to game 7s, you're already familiar with the other team. You know what they're going to do. All you got to do is who wants it more. And I feel like the Houston Rockets, young, fast, talented, hustle hard, play very aggressive, do not care who's in front of them. They're going to play physical. And I think they're going to take this game.
So I'm going to go the opposite end. I'm going to go Golden State, and that's just because of Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is going to come out and just shoot the lights out. He's great in game 7s, and playoff Jimmy might make an appearance as well on this one as well. So I'm going to take Golden State to advance on in the playoffs. You're taking Houston, correct?
Yeah.
All right, man. So we have one more series that wrapped up, and that is the defending champion Boston Celtics took it to the Orlando Magic. They won the series 4-1. All right, man. This one was not necessarily a surprise. I think Orlando really gave them a fair shot. They tried their hardest. It's not for a lack of effort. I think Orlando just has glaring needs that they need to get figured out. Boston is just also an extremely complete team. They're so deep in the bench. They got great coaching, players that know how to win. They're just a mature, smart basketball team, man. G-Mike, Orlando, what do we think about Orlando this season? Is this a wasted season? Is this a good season for them? Is it a success? What do you think?
I don't think it's a wasted season. I think they've proven that they're a very defensive-oriented team. I think any team that goes up against them, they know they're going to have a long night. The only thing is that they're going to improve on their offense, man. They can't just be on Paulo and Franz. They need other players to score. Yeah, they didn't have Suggs. Yeah, they didn't have the other brother Wagner. So there's two players that you use a lot when it comes to offense that weren't out there on the court for these playoffs. So it's a big miss for them. But still, I still feel like they need another piece, even though when those two come back, and hopefully they can make some offseason moves and get some more scoring for them.
Yeah, and I think that's really you're nailed it on the head on there as well. Is that it just comes down to the scoring, and I think it's pretty obvious. And we talked about it a little bit during the last show that we had last week. Obviously BC's our guy; he's our Orlando guy. But having said that, you can almost just see that the players they basically just dribble around and throw the ball right back to Paulo as if like do something with it now. What are you going to do with it now? And he's a forward, like he's not your point guard. And your point guard, they need to get a point guard. They need to get somebody that can distribute the ball a little bit better. They need to blow it up a little bit in the aspect of get another score in there. They need it bad, whether that's through the draft or make some moves. I think that they do have. I love Paulo's game. I think Franz is a great option as far as like maybe he'd be better suited as like a 3, maybe a 2, something like that. He's not your 1. That's clear. Paulo is definitely your 1, and Paulo can play like a 1. Yep. He did everything he could. I mean, he really did play really, really well for the playoffs as a young kid. And I like the two attitude that he comes back with as well. Like him and Franz, they both have almost the same mentality of like, we just want to win and get better. They're not complaining. They're not bitching. They're not, I like the way Orlando is going in the right direction. They just have to figure out the scoring, whether that's making a move. And there's been some rumors that possibly Trae Young. They just need to get somebody in there that can facilitate and score. Just flat out score. They got the defense on lock. And if you can get a guy that can play some defense to fit along with their system, great. But realistically, you just need someone to score. What do you think?
No, 100%. They need someone to score. And I'm looking at rumors. They're talking about Trae Young. They're talking about John Morant. They're talking about some other players around the league that can actually score the ball when it comes to the guards, because you don't need bigs. I feel like the only big that they should trade away is Wendell Carter, but that's more for the backup, if anything. But for your starter, for sure, they need another guard that could come in and score. And, hopefully they do that in the offseason, man, because that's the only move they need, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Trae Young is a real possibility. You know, who was someone I was just thinking a couple of minutes ago that I would like to see. I don't know how it would happen. I don't have the numbers. It just kind of popped in my head. Would be, and it's possibly if they're going to blow this thing up in Phoenix, but maybe like a Devin Booker. Maybe see if you can get Devin Booker. You know, give up a few guys for him because he's a great scorer. That's somebody that could come in. I don't know what you'd have to give up for him, and it was just an idea that just popped in my head. So I don't have any, trade ideas we can get, but.
It's a good destination pick, right? Because Phoenix, what they need is defense.
Right.
So Orlando has. You could get Anthony Black. You could get Cole Anthony. You could get someone else in the guard position that can give you defense because that's what you need, right? So, yeah, you're going to give up Devin Booker, who's supposed to be your franchise player and supposed to be your number one option when it comes to scoring, but you got KD, right? He's already on the back of the end of his career, which he's still great.
Beal is just a
Beal's there. He has a no trade clause. He doesn't want to get out of there. He wants to stay there. So if you really want to make moves and you want to compete, you need some defense. Some of those players can score, but they just can't score consistently and at a high will of 20, 25 points. But they're going to play great defense for you, and you're going to get stops. So it wouldn't be a bad trade.
Yeah, no, well, definitely whenever BC had some stuff going on today, so maybe he might be able to jump on a little bit, but I definitely have to run that one by him. Devin Booker, I don't know. I like I was saying before, don't have any kind of who you're giving up for him, any of that kind of contract, anything. Just thinking of a player that could come in day one, take over, change the outlook of the team. Booker the Magic doesn't sound like too horrible idea.
I would even say Damian Lillard. Obviously, he's old and he has the injury, right? But he could come in and be an offensive scoring threat still. And he could teach other players to how to score and make him a better scorer when it comes to the guard position or even the forward position, right? And that would help the Milwaukee Bucks because they need defense and they need some young pieces in return as well.
Yeah, that's another good one. I think this offseason is going to be pretty exciting for the Magic. A lot like Detroit, man. They're a young team that's on the right track and on the rise. I think if Orlando can find that missing piece as far as the offensive end, they're going to be a force to reckon with in the East, especially with the way they play defense, that they're playing defense right now. And you got two young stars that are emerging and just getting better each time that they go in these playoff runs. So scoring is definitely the biggest thing they need. This wasn't all about the Magic, though. Boston just looks – I don't know what else you can really say about Boston, man. They look – just dominant. They look like they are they exactly where they should be. They're moving on to take on the Knicks following next week because all the series will be done. We'll break down that a little bit more on our next episode on Tuesday. We'll go over more of the next series because all will be wrapped up. Boston, I don't think there's much need to really say about them, man. They're the chance for a reason. They look like it.
Yeah, bro. They know how to score the three ball. They play together and they play great defense. They hustle. There's a reason why they might go back to back.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for the NBA playoffs for us. And like we were saying, too, we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be talking about the next round and what we think is going to happen with that. So we're going to go ahead and move off of the NBA and move over to the NFL, man. We had an amazing weekend. It looked like it was a lot of fun. The NFL draft is finally officially done. Teams have signed all their players. That all stuff is done. Shedeur finally found a team. All right, buddy. The draft is over with. Let's go over some winners, losers, some picks that you liked, some picks you didn't like. I'm going to let you go first right here, man. Your Cowboys had an interesting draft. Do you want to talk about that or do you want to go into somebody else?
I'll talk about my Cowboys. I think we had a great draft. I mean, it's been a few years now that we had a decent drafts. I think for me, it was a really good one. I love the number one pick that we had in Tyler Booker. I think, I think we were trying to go for McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona, but he got picked up by the Carolina Panthers. So we had to go in our second best available position that we needed, and that was guard. That was guard. We needed a guard for sure. That's going to help us run the ball. We'd love to be a run-first oriented team. Obviously, we still have Dak Prescott who could throw the rock, so we still going to be throwing the rock no matter what. But I think we still need to protect them there as well when it comes to defensive tackles, and especially in our division with the Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, and the New York Giants. They all have great DTs. So we got to get some players that are going to come in and actually block for it. And I think Tyler Booker is a good one. The edge, Donovan Irazaku. Pretty sure I said that right. Irazaku. Out of Boston.
That was a great pick.
That was a great pick right there. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's getting shipped out of there. He's not coming back. So I think that was a great pickup right there to try to match him up with Michael Parsons. And then our third round pick, Shavon Revere, the corner out of East Carolina. We needed some backup corners as well. Obviously, Darian Bland, he's back from injury, and he was playing the last couple of games. But Trayvon Diggs. We don't think he's going to be back until mid-season next season. So this will be a good replacement there. And then with everybody else, I think we fit. We got the pieces that we needed for the positions that we needed. And like I said, the last few years, the Cowboys weren't really doing that. They were just getting really just anybody, in my opinion. This year, I think we went a different route, and we actually got pieces that we needed, and we're filling in those gaps.
NFL.com agrees with you on this one, giving the Cowboys an A- for an overall draft grade. The weird thing I did think about what's interesting with the Cowboys, though, is two glaring needs that they needed to address. They didn't really address as far as comes to the offensive side with a wide receiver and a running back. And that also goes back to why letting Rico Dowdle go was mind-boggling as well. The guy was a 1,000-yard rusher, and now you're relying on Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and is Zeke even back, or is Zeke back again?
No,
or
Zeke is not there.
Yeah, so I mean, you're relying on Javonte Williams now. If he could finally get him into the player that he was supposed to be, then that's a good pickup. But he's just not been the same player. He's had a bunch of injuries, and Miles Sanders. You might have forgot that he's even in the league still, as much as a little that he played whenever he was with Carolina. So I think that was two important positions. I was surprised that they didn't go out.
We got Jadon Blue out of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, which is fine, but I just would have thought that they would have, especially in such a running back heavy draft, that they would have possibly grabbed one of the running backs prior to that point. I think they didn't pick him up to like the 5th round, so that was kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, it was the 5th round because we didn't have a 4th round pick. We had 2 5th round picks. And the reason why I think that happened is because the first 3 positions that we addressed were we really needed. Guards, edge, and corner. So
I don't think they had a bad draft by any stretch. It just was kind of surprising to me that 2, I think, going into the draft, wide receiver not good. I get it. This draft class wasn't the greatest for wide receivers, so that one could have made a lot more sense. Maybe the offseason would have made more sense to maybe trade for a player, sign somebody in free agency or something.
Try and get Amari Cooper.
Yeah, and if he can come back, then that's not a bad pickup. But I mean, he is getting a tail end of his career, so that one's just kind of surprising. But overall, I think the Cowboys did do a good draft. Do you have a team that you want to talk about that you think didn't draft too well, and then I'll jump into mine?
Yeah, the Miami Dolphins. I feel like the Miami Dolphins, they didn't address all their needs. I feel like they only addressed certain needs, and they doubled and tripled upon them, right? And the reason I say that is because the Dolphins selected 3 defensive tackles. The first pick was a defensive tackle and Kenneth Grant, which I think is a great pick. I don't think it's a bad pick. But your 5th round, because you don't have no 3rd round or 4th round picks, so you have 3 5-round picks, round 5 picks, you select a defensive tackle again. And I feel like, and then in the 7th round with your last pick in the NFL draft, you draft another defensive tackle, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like they didn't address the O-line at all. They didn't pick up an O-line at all. You just had Armstead retire, and you didn't draft someone to try to replace him in the next coming years. Obviously, not right now. You don't want to put a rookie in there, but you should have. You should have tried. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You got a backup QB, Quinn Ewers from Texas. Yeah, I think he'll be a great asset, even at the 7th round pick. I think he'll be a great asset behind Tua and Zach Wilson, just in case. But like, you address your 2nd round pick with a guard. That was good, right? But I feel like you still need an offensive tackle. You still need a left tackle. You still need someone that's going to cover Tua's sides and not get sacked and not get hit by behind and not get concussions. Yeah, and I feel like their draft to me, and Jalen Ramsey is about to be gone. They're talking about trading him already. He wants to get out, and you pick up a cornerback with your 4th pick in the 5th round. I don't know. I feel like you should have gone corner first. You should have got it in the corner out of Texas, in my opinion. But
yeah, how wild is it the fall of Quentin Ewers, man? Quentin Ewers going into like last year was one of the top rated. He was on the damn college football video game. He was one of the top players everybody was thinking, and he falls all the way to the 6th round and possibly not even almost drafted. Like, it's just amazing that the fall of Ewers. They just maybe not believed in what he could do or what. That was really interesting to me that how far he did fall back in the draft. I mean, the guy was a star going into it, and Texas was a great team. That's just surprising to me, you know. It could be a good pickup for the Dolphins to getting in when they did.
Yeah.
The NFL.com gave the Dolphins a B+ as well, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that they should have addressed. I think they should have gone in a corner with the first pick. Then they should have gone offensive tackle. Then they should have gone to DT like they did with their third pick and Jordan Phillips. Yeah, Kenneth Grant is the better defensive tackle for 100%, but you should have addressed your needs first, in my opinion. But
yeah,
hey.
so I know we were talking about your Cowboys on this one. We started off. Was there a team that you did besides your Cowboys that you did like who they drafted? I know we just talked about who you didn't like. Who did you like as like a winner?
Yeah, but before I go on that, let's hear your loser.
So my loser is going to be the New Orleans Saints. I think the New Orleans Saints did a very mind-boggling draft. They end up drafting Tyler Shook out of Louisiana. Whenever they could have, Louisville. Whenever they could have gotten Shedeur Sanders. Say what you want about Shedeur Sanders, but I think that would have made more sense to grab him over Tyler Shook. They took an offensive tackle, Kevin Banks Jr. out of Texas. Good player, but I mean, really? And then they didn't get any kind of wide receiver help. And that was another team that desperately needed a wide receiver, especially with Chris Olave possibly dealing with possibly being out of the league just from concussions. Last year, that concussion was brutal. And I believe he's had like 5 concussions or so, something like that, ever since college. So unfortunately for him, he's been slightly injury prone. They never really addressed that. So if he goes down, who are you running out there? Raheed Shaheed? That's going to be your number one wide receiver. I mean, you got not Juwan. It's Jennings, I believe, is their tight end as well. I just didn't understand their draft at all. And then to take the quarterback that they did take, if that's the guy they wanted, they easily could have waited on to get him maybe the 3rd, 4th round and got another offensive player because they need somebody else.
7th round, I feel.
Something along those lines. I don't remember anybody really getting that excited about this kid. The fact that you need to get in the 2nd round. So I think they had a bad draft. I don't understand the moves they made. And I think they're just in a bad situation right now because Derek Carr possibly might not be ready to go at all this season. We don't really know. One report says one thing, another report says another thing about if he's actually going to get in play this season. So that means you had Spencer Rattler as your starter for a good portion of the season last year. And we saw how that worked out for you. Not well. Then you're going to throw out this possible rookie. You don't know how well Chris Olave is going to play, and Alvin Kamara is another year older. Granted, he is a great running back, and you have a good offensive new head coach coming in there in Kellen Moore, who I think is very inventive. I think he has a good offense, but you can only do so much with the players you have. And New Orleans, let's face it, has constantly been in cap hell for the last few years. So I think New Orleans is just in a really bad spot right now, and especially after this draft did them no favors.
Yep. No, yeah, I can see why you think that they're a loser 100%.
Yeah, and so if I have to go, I'll go ahead and address my Indianapolis. I think the NFL.com gave them an A, and I agree with it, man. I love the picks that they made. I think it was awesome getting Tyler Warren. That was the exact guy that I wanted them to get, especially whenever Chicago was ahead of them and ended up taking Colson Loveland with the 10 pick, and Tyler Warren fell to us. I was super excited about that. I like all the moves they did, and I also like getting Riley Leonard in the 6th round. Riley Leonard was just in the national championship. The kid's a dog. He's a bigger kid too. He's I believe 6'4", 240, something like that. He's a bigger guy. And if you think about it too, the competition room right now for the Colts quarterback room is Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. Neither one of those guys have proven much. Daniel Jones, we got him in the offseason because New York was done with him. I think Daniel Jones is a capable backup, but I would like to see what Riley Leonard can do. I like the pick. I think that Indianapolis is on the right track. I think that Tyler Warren is going to help out because their wide receiver room is mediocre. It's not bad. Michael Pittman's pretty good. Josh Downs is good. Alec Pierce is pretty interesting. But I think adding Tyler Warren, the guy can play everything. I wouldn't even be surprised if he don't take a few snaps at quarterback. He played quarterback for Penn State for a few snaps and actually made a couple nice passes. So I think that he is a major piece for Indianapolis, and I love the pickup that they got by getting him. That's exactly, I think, who they wanted to get, and I know they're probably extremely pumped to get him. As far as a winner besides my own team, and I hate to do it to you, man, but I'm going to go Philadelphia again, man. Philadelphia, I love Howie Roseman, man. I think Howie Roseman is such a smart GM. I love the pick that they made. They addressed defense, so they know they already got a good offense. Who was it that fell to them, man? The linebacker, I believe it was, that fell to them. I'm trying to find him again. Absolute dog. But I just love what they did, man. They addressed the needs that they needed. Jihad Campbell out of Alabama, linebacker, man. They kicked up another safety, got a defensive tackle, another cornerback. the team is stacked. They're set up, ready to go. They knew they didn't need much for offense. And so, yeah, I'm going to go as a winner. Besides my own team would be Philadelphia, man.
Yeah, Philly the last 3-4 years I've been showing their capability in this draft, and it's sickening, bro.
It
Sickening.
is, I'm sure, especially as a Cowboys
I
guy.
do
I'm
agree
sure.
with you. Their drafting is just great, bro. It's great. For me, as another winner, I would take the Cleveland Browns, man. I feel like they did a great job with their first pick, getting Mason Graham, the defensive tackle. I think that's a great pair to put up alongside Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Take a little bit pressure off of teams trying to double team Myles Garrett. Now they're going to have to cover the inside just in case, so Myles Garrett's going to have a more leeway of trying to get some more sacks, more tackles, and getting to the QB pressure. Going with the second pick are Carson Singzer. I don't know how to pronounce that last name, but I know the kid. He's an absolute dog at linebacker, and that's going to help him with their interior running, of course, on defense. Whenever a team try to runs up in the gut, he's going to help out there. He can actually cover some receivers too. He's pretty fast. He's not very tall, so he's not going to be up there and trying to leap up for balls, but he can definitely cover some good tight ends. And then the third pick, they get a running back to try to replace Nick Chubb when Christian Jenkins, he looks like another Nick Chubb to me.
Yeah, and Jenkins is definitely a power.
He has better hands. He has a power. He's fast. He can block. I think that was a great pick right there. And then getting 2 quarterbacks in this draft, I was not a fan of them getting Dylan Gabriel first, but then they end up getting their last pick with Shadur Sanders. I think it's good to have a competitive QB room with 2 young guys, and then you got 2 veterans, and then 1 mid-level guy with Kenny Pickett. You got Joe Flacco, veteran, Deshaun Watson, a veteran that he's on his downfall, and then 2 rookies coming in. I think it's going to be great competition for that quarterback room, and it's just going to try. In my opinion, I think it's going to be positive for every single quarterback in that room. They're going to, if they can learn how to play well, they can help teach each other, get the plays down packed, and have some great competitive on-field access. Like, I think is going to be good for any quarterback who's going to be in that starting position, and is going to just raise them up a beat.
Yeah, obviously the talk of the draft was Shedeur. He ended up falling to the Cleveland Browns, like you just said. In the long run, man, how do you think this is going to play out? I personally, we were talking about it a little bit before we started the show. As bad as a lot of people are making it sound, he fell, all this good stuff. It doesn't really matter whenever it comes to game day, honestly, because you go to a team, they're going to pick you up. You fall to the 5th, you fall to the 7th, whatever. If you have the talent, it'll prevail, and you'll be able to get there. Having said that, realistically, who does he have to beat to become the starter, really? I mean, you're going to go against Dylan Gabriel. You're going to go against Deshaun Watson, which I don't think is ever probably going to play for Cleveland again. And coming off a serious injury that he had, and his play was not that great. You got to beat Joe Flacco, who's old, 37 years old. He gelled well in Cleveland last year. 2 years ago. He played for Indy last year. Had some moments where he looked okay, but he's not what he used to be. He's just older. He's not that great anymore. You got Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I think that Shedeur Sanders, maybe even by the bye week, could possibly, if he really is the real deal like he claims to be and how he showed flashes at Colorado, could be the starter by the bye week. And then that makes it look like Cleveland made the right move by getting him in the 5th pick. And they didn't, and they were able to get other great players prior to getting a franchise quarterback. So in the long run, I think it's not a bad thing for Shedeur to fall to this team because he has an actual chance to compete for the starting position. I know it's embarrassing, and you have to take a big bite, a humble pie. But in the long run, this actually could be one of the best things for you. You got Jerry Jeudy, you got Tillman, you got some pretty good offensive weapons. Njoku, you got some good players, man. So I think this could actually work out.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think they drafted really well. You don't really see that from the Browns since I've been alive, honestly, that they draft really well. So, I think that this year they can turn it around. And, they were one of the worst teams in the league last year, but one of the main reasons why is because they didn't have a good quarterback situation. Now, maybe it could take a turn. Let's see. We'll see what's up. But
yeah, the defense was good, and then now you're going to maybe possibly finally add a star quarterback. We'll see what Shedeur's got. I mean, this is your opportunity to prove everybody wrong, and that you're able to bite the bullet and say, hey, you know what? Stuff happens. I got drafted late, and I'm gonna prove to you that you should have picked me over all these other guys. And this is your opportunity with Cleveland and a franchise that's desperately looking for a franchise quarterback. So in the long run, this could actually work out for Shedeur.
100%. And I hope it does, man. I hope he proves everybody wrong, bro. Because like the fact that people are saying like, yeah, he didn't have great interviews, he was very cocky and all this stuff, it's just that's just the way he was raised, man. Just to be super confident in himself. And a lot of people take it as, oh, you're being cocky. It's like, man, I'm just confident in myself. Like if if he's not being a true asshole to you, like what does it matter?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that younger players and even kids that are in high school going to college and stuff too, I think that this Shedeur experience is a learning experience for everybody. That NFL is it's a grown man's game, and there is no jokes. There is nothing that they take this very serious. And you have all the cachet and the star power you want, but if you don't do these interviews and you're not prepared like the way they want you to, they'll let you know what they think of you. And as he fell to the fifth, possibly almost going undrafted. So I think that the biggest thing is the takeaway from this is do your homework, do your work, and actually put in the time to be the best professional athlete that you can be if you're at that level. And if you can do that, the play will play for itself, and you'll be able to get it on an organization. But I think this is a learning experience for everybody.
Bro, I'll disagree, man. I feel like you should be who you are. And if that's the person that he is, and he's just very confident in himself, other people get uncomfortable because of I don't even know how to say the word, but being so confident that you get uncomfortable, that's your own fault, bro. I can't control how people feel. If I'm just doing me, I'm sorry, I can't. Like if you feel some sort of way because I'm super confident in myself, I'm sorry, bro. You need to fix something with you. I'm not fixing something with me. So if he comes out and he proves to everybody and he balls the hell out, who's gonna be in the wrong here? Oh, now in the future it's gonna be, damn, maybe he's very confident in himself. Maybe we think that he's too full of himself. Well, we're not gonna draft him. Okay, but he comes out and he shows you that he should have been the number. For an example, he should have been the number one pick in the draft. Then what are you gonna say then?
Yeah, that's definitely a TBD, man. I'm hoping the best for him because I do think he is more talented than where he got drafted. But in the long run, this could actually work out pretty good for him because he has a legit chance to actually be the starter on a team that just needs a quarterback. I think Cleveland has had the defenses there, and I don't think that they're that bad right now, especially offensively. But it'd be cool to see if they could bring Nick Chubb back. That might be done and over with as well. But Shedeur has a chance, and I think this actually works out good for him.
No, and I think you hit it on the head that like if it doesn't plan out in the positive direction for Shedeur, then yes, there is something to be learned here of like be humble in your interviews and all this stuff because it could come and bite you in the ass just like it did for him. But what I'm saying is, if he comes out and he proves that he's the quarterback that he says he was, then who's to blame here?
Yeah. Then everybody's gonna look awful goofy because he was too confident in himself. Exactly. But I obviously none of us were in the room, so we don't know how his attitude actually was. But from multiple GMs, that he kind of just sandbagged a bunch of interviews at teams that he didn't want to go to. While that sounds like a smart thing to do because you don't want to go there, that also you see what happens here, and it cost himself some millions of dollars by not doing that. Now, granted, he already had NIL, so it's not really that big of a deal for him. But I just think that he needs to I think just future athletes just need to look at this and say, okay, hey, maybe I'll be a little bit more prepared so I don't end up like that.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right, my man. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for today's show. It was a fun one right here, man. We had a little bit longer one, and it's really fun. It's going to be coming back on Tuesday, man. Can't wait for that to come around. Like we said, big news for us. We are on iHeartRadio. So please tell your family and friends. We're on Spotify. We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on anywhere you pretty much get your socials. We're on Varsity. We're on Millions. Please just get the word out there. We're trying to support everybody out there and just pass the word along, man. It's a fun show, and we're trying to get as many people as we can and all the support we can get.
Yes, sir. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Please do not forget to hit the likes and subscribe button. Share the show with your family and friends. If you guys want to come talk smack, come into the chat box, leave your little comments, ask your questions if you want, or if you want to be a part of the show, because this sports show is for the fans. from the fans. So anybody can come onto the show, share your opinions, have a debate with us.
We can even
whatever the
get you
case
on
may
live
be.
as well too if you feel that if you want to be confident enough to come on live too. We can work that out for you as well.
Exactly. So we appreciate the love and support, man, and hopefully you guys keep tuning in.
All right, man. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. I am Stevie B. We got the GMG Mike, and we will see you Tuesday. Peace.